All right, here we go. Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want to see us live, that's where we're doing it. Otherwise, we're on the podcast, and you can download it later or watch the video on demand version on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Had a great weekend last weekend. Wasn't here. I went and judged people, but the results aren't out yet. So we did the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society home show and saw 7 different homes. Took 2 days, 4 ferries, and a lot of time. So the results for that come out in February at the meeting, but I'll be there talking and doing that kind of stuff. So if you're in the area, think about showing up. I did get sick, so that sucks, and my voice might sound a little different today. People have joined the chat early, as we always do, about an hour before we go live. I've pulled some of the questions there. A lot of memberships got given out because people are feeling generous. Stephen P., Candy, Jody, others as well. Let's see, Jesse Town. And I matched them. So, if you donate one, I'll donate one. And we'll grow this little thing we got going here. I got some to match right now, and then we'll jump into these questions. So, if you got a good question, put it out there. You might have to repeat it because I'll get busy answering all these questions, but, we're going to hang out for a couple hours like we do. Just doing my job. All right, here we go. Whoa. Almost super chatted myself. Talk about a big pile of wasted money. That would have been real dumb. Focus on the memberships, giving away, and then, all right, first question that we had from earlier. This person asked, in your opinion, what's better? Water change through dilution, meaning adding fresh water on one side of the tank and letting it drain on the other, or taking water out and then refilling? I think there's multiple sides of this. So just in sheer removing stuff from water, draining water first and then refilling will always be technically better than not doing that. However, you can save a lot of time. And as long as you spend that time maybe scraping algae and doing other things, I think it's worth it to kind of let that water come in and let it overflow so that you can spend time doing things. And so I do that with all of my 40 breeders over here, which I'm going to use my new craziness and test it out for you guys. Let's see, new hamsters, and go. So yeah, you can see the 40-gallon breeders. That's what they look like right now, live, while we're live on the show here. And so yes, they all automatically change some water every day. And that lets me maybe prune plants, dose fertilizer, scrub down algae on the front, clean the tops. There's all these things, and allows me to have more aquariums. More is not always better, by the way, but it is something that I enjoy. So I like to keep a lot of varieties of fish. Like to focus on. I've been moving a lot of fish lately, moving them around, and just kind of enjoying what they're doing. You can kind of see some of the different species there. There's new fish you guys have never seen for sure. Some of you saw them a little bit in the member-only video, but I haven't done any kind of dedicated video updates. I've been really focusing on just getting the tanks how I want them to look. So I've been doing lots of testing. You can see all these containers on top, elevating at 6 inches. I was testing at 4 inches to elevate the light and all of that. And you can see on the second tank from the right there's different angles to block like a shade. And honestly, it's just kind of been a long journey, and I'm not even sure it's better. And you can see, behind me, those aren't elevated anymore. It's driving me nuts. So, yeah, not everything like, oh yeah, we're doing stuff. Free up that time with water changes. You might just end up doing stuff that you don't even like. But if you're doing the basics, you got to do them anyway, so it will save time. I will say there is the new Nermi right here, handcrafted by Rebecca, which is super cool. I love it. All right, next question. Let's see. Can we talk about the plateauing of growth on plants after a couple of months, even with consistent ferts being added and soil. So what I usually find happens is I'm bad at my job and I need product. I got this one. This one will work. They're adding fertilizers. This is some easy potassium. And your plants will grow. So right now, if I'm dosing Easy Green once a week in here, and the plants then become twice as big, right? Well, if they become twice as big, I need to dose more fertilizer. And too often people don't, I guess what I want to say is they don't calibrate their tank, check up on their tank, test their tank. And so like this tank, real happy right at the moment. And it normally isn't this happy because I'm too lazy. But you can see here, like, you see this? That Anubias is purling up a storm. It loves life. Same with this one, right? Now, if you're really critical of me, you're going, oh my gosh, Corey, you've changed things up. Like, didn't that sponge filter or the intake sponge, that used to be right there? Yes, it did. So I was up, till about midnight last night working on this tank, dialing things in, testing water, adjusting the dosage of fertilizer, and I cleaned all the glass tops, so more light's coming in, all of those good things that you need to be doing. I did it. And so, I've just been working on all my own little setups. And so that's really what I've been doing. And when it comes to fertilizer, as the plants grow, they're gonna want more. As you trim, you might have too much. And so you can imagine if I get really good growth over the next couple weeks, all these plants are maybe twice as big, twice as much fertilizer. But then a month or 2 weeks later, now they're to the top of the tank. If I go in there and I cut them, I got to cut back the fertilizer also. And so a plateauing, I shoot for that. I basically want it to plateau at a certain point where I like it. But you might be going, oh, well, I want more plant growth still. And so when you run out of fertilizer, you'll get winners and losers, right? So if you're at a party, family party, and there's 10 people and you have 20 pizzas, everybody eats as much pizza as they want. Everyone's taking a pizza home. Way too much pizza. But if you're at that same thing, right, same family get together, and there's one pizza and 10 people, well, you got Larry over there. Like, Larry, is that your third piece? And he's like, oh, I didn't have lunch. I was hungry. Oh, and everyone else only got one piece or half a piece, and Larry's over there getting 3 pieces. And that's what happens with your plants. You get Larry in there, the stem plant, just going, oh, give it to me. I'll eat it all. And then a lot of your other plants start stunting out and not doing as well because you're limited on fertilizer. And when we talk about fertilizer, we should also talk about lighting and CO2. They're also main ingredients. So if your plant grows too tall and shadows another plant, that can inhibit it. If you run out of CO2, if Larry, the stem plant's grabbing all the CO2 out of the water because you've keep cutting it and planting it, cutting it and planting it, and pretty soon it's this much of this aquarium, it might be gobbling up all resources, and your other plants are suffering for it. In fact, I just filmed a video about Java Fern a day or two ago, really illustrating and talking about how other plants just outcompete Java Fern, and they suffer for it. So, I would definitely... Yeah, Larry puts Pogo Octopus on pizza and pineapple, by the way. Let me grab some of these super chats and comments and things real quick here. My new female guppy developed a fuzz patch on its pectoral fin. The pectoral fin's the one on the bottom, kind of the... Wait, pecs, yeah. These little flappers. On the pec fin, died, but the patch was hard like rubber. No filaments. What could it have been? To me, that kind of reminds me of something like a tumor. I don't know what color it was. If you have a picture... The forum's great for this. I always preach the forum because I can actually see stuff there. I can have an actual conversation, and we can ask for follow-ups, and we can zoom in, and you're not limited on a little phone screen or anything like that. But, yeah, it could have been a little tumor. Yeah, sometimes they look, I guess, like rubber. So I'm not sure there's a whole lot you could have done. When I run into tumors and stuff like that, try to relieve stress, and then... I use salt a lot of times. So we'll use the special camera and we'll take a trip around the fish room. And so you can see over here, this is like all of my little guppy tanks and quarantine tanks. Yeah, there's some glares and things like that, but you can see some of them are absolutely packed with guppy grass and we're waiting for fry to drop. And you can see some that have nothing in it, basically. And those are like, ooh, if I had that guppy, you'd be going in there, I'd be getting some salt, and I'd be letting that sit for like a month and see if we can't clear up the stress that the fish was having, whether it just got shipped to me, whether a fish was bullying it. And then we'd be trying to just have salt cure any basically bacterial and fungal infections and a little bit of external parasites, which can add stress to the fish. And usually after about a month of that, they come back doing pretty good. You can see it kind of in the bottom middle, my orange laser corridoras that just came in are going nuts. Maybe I'm looking for eggs, but no eggs yet with all that guppy grass. And then the tank to the right of it actually has neon rosy barbs with an automatic egg collector that deposits them in that white bin. So, yeah, kind of some cool stuff going on over there. Never put it on video, but there is a build out thing on the forum. So, just one more little thing to talk about. All right, and we're back. Almost at the 5-year mark. Can't wait to get my special aquarium co-op guy, ACO guy coin. You also get this right here. That special Yeti, which cost me a ridiculous amount of money, but I think it's cool. The Yeti. What a canteen? I don't know what the heck they'll call. What do they call those things? ACO guy, what do you think about the blue Hawaiian guppies? They're okay. I don't fall in love with that strain, but it depends on what day of the week it is, and then I love a different guppy. So, yeah. Let's see here. Steve saying thank you, and Wes donated a membership. I will match that here in a moment. David Hampton, sorry, not Thompson, Hampton. I have Greg Sage Trout Goodeids, good line by the way, nice and yellow, that have bred 2X now until the babies have babies. What's the best temp for them? I've had them down in the 60s. I've had them up towards 80. I'm not sure that one was necessarily better or worse than the other one. So I've made way more than local people want. Like when I had them in the 800 gallon, they was going crazy. I've kept them in ponds before, outside for the summer. I've had them in the 40 breeder, all different types of temperatures, and they always just push forward with good plant growth to cover the babies. So I don't have a temp that goes, hey, this one makes a difference, because they just seem to be easy going fish that make more, which is good. Let's see here. My goofy voice? Yeah. Got to be in the right mood to put on the goofy voice, I guess. I don't always do it, but just depends. My animals, like my dogs, get goofy voices pretty often. They got to talk like humans. Let me match that. Gifted membership. There we go. Approaching 4 years. Thanks for all you always do and continue to teach. Well, I try. I've been learning a ton. Lately. Yeah, especially with 3D printing. How long does it take for Guppy to drop all the fry so I can move her? Should be within a day, even like half a day-ish. Yeah. I guard that Yeti with my life. I've also forgotten it a couple of times. So you gotta get like an AirPod tracker on there or something. AirPod? Is that what they are? I was mixing it with iPad, or not iPad. What were the music devices? iPad is obviously the tablet. iPod? Yeah, iPod and AirPod. Okay, that's why I was confusing them. Is it synced? I've made multiple purchases recently and no Yeti. Well, Candy can look into that for you. AirTag? Oh man, I am so hip to the jive these days. We will definitely get it remedied if it's having a problem, Rusty. Sometimes, okay, let's see, you purchased a couple times. Hold on, where'd you go? It is synced. So sometimes our store and YouTube can lose sync for some reason. It still has you as a member and you'll get the discount and everything. But for some reason it doesn't update the amount of months you've been a member. And so if something wonky is going on for you, you can just like hit the button to unsync and then resync. And a lot of times that'll just, it catches you up real quick. But Candy can take a look, or any customer service agent can take a look for you, and we can work from there. Let's see. Who are my favorite fish YouTubers? Oddly enough, I've been going through a social media crisis, meaning that I've basically been swearing off all social media and just going, why do we do any of this crap? And now I'm kind of on the other side of that. So I purged probably 90% of the YouTubers I was following because I wasn't actually watching their stuff. I might like them as a person. Like Bob Steenfott, great example. I see that dude 2 to 3 times a week. I don't watch his videos because I see him 2 to 3 times a week. And I go to his fish room. I don't need to watch his videos. And so same thing, I might chat with people online and all that, but I'm like, honestly, I don't need to see their videos. So when it comes to fish tubers, mostly it's new people I don't know because like, it's new to me. I don't know them yet. And so I found 2 or 3 in the last couple days that I've been enjoying, and I'll share them with you guys. One, because if I'm enjoying it, maybe you'll enjoy it. And 2, could help them potentially. Now, whenever I recommend anything, realize that they are new to me. So if they are like a closet Larry, where they're like, oh man, that guy is a real Larry, you know. And for those that don't hang around, Larry's the guy that's kind of annoying. Or, you know, doing something you don't want to do. Larry could be the crazy uncle talking politics, even though you're trying to have like a baby shower or something, you know. But these YouTubers that I have found lately, I've been enjoying AB Aquariums. I have been enjoying Aqualust. I've been watching who else? Cichlid Charmer. And the latest one I just found, I want to say the name was Brenton's Aquatics or Brenton's Fish. So, yeah, Brenton's Fish. If anyone's been around long enough, Brenton reminds me a lot of Lamont and his brother, and the spin-off YouTube channel Them Muds, and so it's got a very quirky humor that I appreciate, but not for everybody, you know. Let's see here. Let me grab the next question I had. The next question is, I'm curious if there is a standard age that fry color up, or if it's different for each type of fish. I've got some surprise long-finned rosy barb fry. There is variance, you know, even in its own species, but on average, what I tell people is I go, you know what? 3 months. 3 months is the number that I give, because like by then you can usually tell what it is. Every day someone swears they've bred neon tetras, and 172% of the time it turns out that they were white clouds. Like, because white cloud babies just look like they should be neon tetra babies, and oftentimes they're in the same tank, or they come in with a plant and they swear, and then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, they are white clouds. Like, yeah, sweet, they're easy to breed and cool. Yeah. So 3 months is on average when most things will have colored up. Guppies start doing it as early as like 4 or 5 weeks, but if you're sexing them out all the way, it could take as long as 3 months. So I say 3 months is a good mark to just, you know, have in the back of your mind. I still remember that our long talk you guys had on goldfish food. I feel like I was the only one interested. I don't think it's the only one interested, which, by the way, part of my social media revolt is I'm only doing crap I enjoy. And so I enjoy a good discussion about goldfish food and what's working and things like that. And so I'm more likely to do a video about that kind of stuff again, knowing that I don't want to win the game of YouTube on just who can be the most clickbaity, personable person, which it's been that way for a while, but we've gotten so far away that I'm honestly watching people that are fish channels not even make videos like about fish anymore. Like, it's just like, I got into this because I love fish. I have a room filled with fish because I love fish. And so I don't want to play that game. I would rather just do my stuff. And if you're into doing fish stuff instead of watching videos, then maybe you'll like what I'm doing. If not, that's cool too. I understand. I actually purposely bred my zebra danios and x-ray tetras. First time, and the zebras are doing amazing. The x-rays are hanging in. Yeah. The first time you see true fry on the zebra danios, you're surprised how small fish fry can be. They are like flashlight. I think is that it? Like, you're not even sure you're looking at the thing. So, yeah. Let's see here. I've been breeding some guppies and some endlers and getting pretty cool results. A lot of crosses come from that and do look pretty cool. I forgot to add it. Wait, Joseph's asking, thanks for answering my question. I forgot to add it. Do you run CO2 time? Wait, I forgot to add. Do you run CO2 and timers on everything? I do. I'm actually getting to a point where all the 40s have CO2. This tank has CO2, and the 800 has CO2. The 10s don't. My 230 doesn't, but I think the cichlid tank I'm going to, only because I want to do what I want to do. Like, I really want a purling, planted African cichlid tank. Now, I'm not doing a carpet. I'm just going to get like Anubias and stuff to pearl, but I don't see it ever. So I shouldn't say ever. Almost never do I see it, and that sounds fun to me, so I'm going to do it. Even though, and so the big shift in my mind, by the way, is I have a job to do, and that is help everybody get over the hump from shopping at a chain store to becoming an aquarist and keeping planted aquariums and enjoying it. Well, doing that for 11 years straight in YouTube and 4 years additional to that, 5 years. Well, hold on. 11 years. No, YouTube's only like 9 years. So I've been doing it for like 11 years straight, almost 12 now. That has just burned me out. You can 12 years is my limit of how do I start an aquarium, what are best beginner plants, that kind of stuff. And there's been this narrative forming over the last, I would say, 4 years, 3 to 4 years. And I saw it even in a video yesterday of like, for all the money and resources Corey has, why does aquariums look terrible? And it's a fair accusation. And I go, you're right. I know the answer. I know the answer because I have a CEO of a company and I've got to do all these things and I got to test the products and I got to do the stuff. But anyone new to our brand wouldn't know that. They don't know that I'm a master aquatic horticulturist, that I can't say I'm a master breeder yet. I have all the points, but I keep getting sick and not showing up to the meetings to get my certificate, but I'm a master breeder as well. I have had pretty good looking tanks and scapes in the past, but those videos get buried and some never got recorded. Like there was years and years and years of Corey breeding professionally and selling on Aquabid and doing all these things and running a store before I opened a store as well. And so my redemption arc is like, all right, I'm going to just double down. I'm going to double down make my stuff look cool, and then people are like, oh, he can do some stuff, and then I'm going to go back to like, and now I got to go back to running my company. It is literally there's only so many hours in a day, and I got a lot on my plate, but I will enjoy it as well. Like, I'm having a blast, and it's, you feel better when you look at it, you're like, yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. The fish are spawning over there. And, so it's leading me to upgrade cameras and lighting and just everything, really. And so that, I've got this desk in the middle of the fish room, which was you guys saw that happen about, I don't know, 9 months ago, something like that. And it was for this purpose, so that I could be inspired by the tanks around me. Well, when you start trying to make 50 tanks look awesome all at once, it takes a long time. But it's real easy to get inspired when you're looking over there and you're going, all right, let me take a look. And you may be like, oh, this Corridor is spawning, and look at these fish, and look at that fish. The 800-gallon is a train wreck. I'll show you that here in a moment. We're doing a giant overhaul on that, over the next month or so, really. I've been just unhappy. I've been trying different lighting. I've been trying all kinds of stuff. That's the current form of the 800-gallon. And you can see there's a bunch of Congo tetras in there. There's clown loaches. There's even shabunkins. There's that giant red or rainbow shark. There's pandagars in there, reticulated hillstream loaches. The plants will keep growing but not grow tall. I've tried lower light. I've tried way more light. I've tried different lights. I've tried a few things. I've got a battle plan list I'm going after there. And so we'll be trying that here in the next not too long. But that tank, just to like switch fish, is a 2-day event. So it's definitely really got to make sure I know what I want to do. I put the shabunkins in there because I wanted to see, like, all right, is it the Congo tetras that suck? Is it I just need bigger fish? Like, what is it I'm missing that is the visual appeal? And part of it is it's brown on brown on brown on brown. Part of it's the lighting. Part of it is fish that aren't colorful unless the light hits them just right. There's all these little things so I've got like a 10-point plan to change it all. And I think if I do all 10 things, it will look moderately better. 10 things in 2 months probably will work. Let's see here. Who is driving there to catch fish? Yeah, well, so part of the problem is the fish that come out, there's so many fish in there, they got to go to the store. And so, yes, store manager, it's like one of those, like, start catching at 8 a.m. Store managers show up at noon, take buckets of fish back to the store, because the aquarium still has to fill up with water, but I want to plant a bunch of plants and get inside the aquarium once we catch the fish out in the second half of the day. So you would think just catch all the fish and drive down, but like, no, it takes hours to fill back up, a lot of hot water, and then also I want to work in it while the water level's down. So it becomes a 2 to 3 person team, because also you need someone to be like handing you plants and rocks and things to go into the aquarium while you're inside. You don't want to crawl up and out while you're wet, down the ladder, grab a rock, put it on your shoulder, crawl back up a ladder, get over on the tank, get back in. So there's 2 people to work the tank, 1 person to be ferrying fish and stuff like that back to the store. And so that's why it's like a 2-day process. It's not just a, like this tank, you could do it in a few hours, right? You're just like, oh, I got the stuff, I'm going to do it. But it's, I would definitely, if someone was if I could replace that tank right now, it would be probably like 400 gallons. It'd be like half as big. I like the 8 feet. I like the 4 feet. I don't like the 40 inches tall. So I might even like make it go, oh, it's 3.5 feet and then only 30 inches tall or something like that. So what is your shop or website that you sell your fish, Corey? I do see it linked in the Aquarium Co-op website. We have a retail store called Aquarium Co-op in Edmonds, Washington. That's where we got our start. And that's where I bring all the fish to sell because we got people to buy them. I am considering, a lot of people wouldn't know this, there's a buy and sell section, buy, sell, and trade section for fish on our forum, but you can't see it unless you have at least 50 posts and you didn't get banned, because some people try to spam their way through it. No, you gotta be a participating member. You can't set up shop like you're a business. It's meant for people like you guys sitting in the chat right now going, hey, I made too many of this fish, or I'm getting rid of this. I'm looking for $3 each. And someone else goes, I would pay that. Will you ship, or I'll pick them up? And so I've been considering putting some fish potentially on there as well. Not out of trying to make money, out of some people would be jazzed to get some of the stuff out of my fish room. So, still haven't done it yet, but I've been thinking about it going, yeah, I want to share. I enjoy sharing my fish. Selling them's fun too, and that is one way to share them. But I also, I might do some random acts of kindness or other stuff on there too. Let's see here. One of my tanks got cyanobacteria, and I have tried a lot of different things to remove it. I tried 3 treatments with the only one available here, combined with a 5-day blackout, and it keeps coming back. Yeah, antibiotic is what I find to be the most effective. I'm not sure what country you're in if you can get an antibiotic. The blackout, for me, usually has to be like 10 days and completely pitch black, which can be hard on the plants. And it can come back. You got to like 10 days, lights back on for a week, and then like another week of darkness, and that'll usually get a majority of it. Try to get as much as you can out manually. Do water changes, increase flow, do all of these things to give yourself a fighting chance to win that one. Steenfod Aquatics coming in with the membership donation, which means I gotta match it. There we go. Who was Viking Aquatics was the lucky one that got Bob's. Let's see who gets this one. Survey says waiting. Zach got it. By the way, Shrimp Sanctuary is speaking in the members only club on shrimp in February. So if you aren't aware, he has a channel and you could watch his stuff. But he'll also be giving a member talk, which I love the member talks because it forces people to present in a different way. A 1 hour to 90-minute presentation is much different than making a YouTube video, for instance. And so you can really lay out a plan for something or a topic or a subject that way. And I like the format. So, and we've got tons of them. It's fun to watch you guys that might become new members watch one from like 2 or 3 years ago and like, this is amazing. Like, yes, we have quite a library of not downloaded, but like people's minds have been downloaded into that section. The only other way to see this information, you got to go to like talks, right? Like I'm going to the Keystone Clash. There'll be speakers. I'll be one of them. But to see these talks, because mostly the talks are only for clubs or behind the scenes so that they can fly around and nerd out on fish stuff, which is fun. Next question I've got written down from earlier. Is it safe to say that slow growing plants equals a slow death, and therefore there's lots of room for error and reaction time is not critical? Yes, I think that is mostly true. Like when it comes to Anubias and Java ferns and that Bulbitis and Crips, they grow really slow. They take a long time to reverse any damage. They can take a long time to convert. They can die back fairly quick sometimes, but they usually come back. But that's one of the reasons why I do love slow-growing plants is you've got a long time. You got a busy week. Don't worry, they won't die off on you. Where, like I remember, because no one trimmed while I was in China for 13 days, it killed off. Well, it didn't kill off, but I had a carpet of pearl grass or pearlweed. And it grew so much in those 13 days and no one trimmed it that it lifted off the substrate and I had to restart it. I actually didn't restart it, but that's what killed that tank basically. So on one hand, awesome, grows really fast, but the minute you got it's 13 days out of pocket, like, and it died. It didn't die, it got ruined. Let's see here. Anchorworms on a South American puffer. Do I have to pull them off? There's at least 25 spikes coming out of his belly and his back. No, you don't have to. There is a chemical that I would use on goldfish and other things called Dimilin. Dimilin. I only ever remember it in America being available on eBay, and it's enough to choke a donkey. And what I mean is you get like a bottle this much, it's probably like 50 or 60 bucks, but like if you take the cap off in the same room as this fish room, it treats like 500 gallons. Like it's like a drop per 500 gallon or something crazy concentration. So you really got to what do I want to call it? Dilute it down like in stupid, insane amount. So just know that you're going to be doing some science to treat with it. It does work awesome though on anchorworm. It's my favorite anchorworm medicine. Let's see here. My local store is partnering with you, and I'm so excited. I regularly supply them with fancy guppies. All thanks to your breeding for profit videos. Oh, it's coming full circle. Yep. That was my long con 12 years ago before I even knew that I would sell stuff online, was teach people how to breed fish for profit so that one day their local store will sell my crap and you'll trade it for those products. So in a roundabout way, it's my long con of teaching how to breed fish so that I would get that money way down that road, even though I never knew I would wholesale or sell online or anything like that. But it's cool to see that stuff actually works, which every day there's a hater like, you can't sell fish. I don't have people to buy fish in my area. And it's like, all right, cool. You live in the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know what you want to tell it. Like there's people that, or the house density is like one person per 40 miles. They're like, I can't do it. Like, yes, you move to the middle of the desert. You're right. It's not going to be viable for you. Also, like ice cube making factory, not viable either. Like, or any business that isn't online at that point. Although I would say you can still ship all those fish online. Besides the point. That's right. It's my 4D chess. That's my moves. I'm going 5D chess. You don't know it yet, but I'm going 5D chess. Let's see here. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the slow death and all of that. So one of the big keys is maintaining fertilizer. I think that's very important to not have stuff die off on you. And so when you're traveling and stuff like that, you can basically like dose at the beginning of the week. And then let's say you're leaving on a Friday or next Monday. You can dose again like right before you go. And it does work that way with plants where like you can't just like feed extra, like, oh, I'll give extra for the week for your animals. Like they just eat it all on the same day. Where plants, like it stays around, they do utilize it. So, yeah, something like Easy Green is what I recommend. By the way, I someone needs to do this for me because I keep meaning to do it, and I've been spending time in my aquariums. But I keep seeing it show up online where there was a comparison done of Easy Green versus other fertilizers, like in 2016. And they still keep quoting the old Easy Green where it wasn't as concentrated. And they also did the value where you got half as much for your money. Now it's like clear as day. Best bang for your buck by far. Like the amount of gallons treated, the amount of concentration of the actual nutrients for the plants in there. But it looks like it's like, oh, it's in line with some other stuff. I'm like, no, do the math. The math is 34 more times potent in nitrate, I believe, than like Flourish, for instance. 34. Like, think about that for a minute. So, for every squirt of Easy Green, 34 times that. So 34 milliliters of Seachem Prime, or not Prime, Seachem Flourish to 1 milliliter of Easy Green. Like, that's insane. But it doesn't look like that on a shelf because you're like, yeah, it's 2 bottles. One's 13, one's 20. I'll buy the one's 13. Like, what? So someone needs to make that up and write out the ingredients, do the percentages, and show that we are dominating, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Root tabs are kind of a different thing. Ours are a little bit different, but I will tell you, our root tabs, when they swap over, are getting bigger, and you get more for your money. We're also, I think one of the packages we're putting more in there because we're switching the bottle. So, but I have not done the same analysis because it's a little bit. Well, that's not necessarily harder, but it's not always apples to apples on the root tabs. So, you know, some, like an Osmocote tab has a lot of ammonia. We have no ammonia, for instance. But I'll say this: when it comes to root tabs, we are very competitive price wise, and I believe we are better. But that one's not as that one's not as definitive, I would say. Yeah, so hard to know whether to use Easy Green or Thrive. Well, for instance, Thrive, right, looks similar to Easy Green, but their nitrate source is ammonia. So if you're using Thrive and your pH isn't below 6.8, you can actually be causing some harm to your animals. We specifically do not use ammonia in Easy Green so that we don't have that problem. Most people, again, the average person's like, hey, there's stuff on a website or a shelf. This one looks like good value. And if you don't know, you just don't know. And, and by the way, I don't think it's going to kill your animals or anything like that. But at the same time, that fertilizer is not meant probably for what you're trying to do. So there is that. Let's see here. Will the new root tabs be available instead of the capsules? Yes, it will be instead eventually once the switchover happens. I think it's like a couple months, 2.5 months out still or something. We're still, every time you make a change, you got to go in for guaranteed analysis, and that takes time. And I think it's like $600 a test, and then a few weeks for them to come back with a guaranteed analysis, and then we can put that on the label, and then we can print the labels, and then we can put them on the product. So it's in the pipeline, and we've got our final version. So yeah, it's just work through the steps. Let's see here. Now, again, when we're talking about fertilizers, most fertilizers will work. I don't want to create panic if you're using Thrive or someone else's that is using ammonia. For the most part, it should not be an issue, right? Shouldn't be an issue for you. Wouldn't worry about it. In fact, you can make an argument it's better if you're running low pH. You can make that argument as well. But I would just say overall, look at overall nutrients, price per dollar. And there's also this too. I will say, Thrive you can get on Amazon. That's a bonus for some people. For other people, they don't want to use Amazon. Or they go, oh, but you have these other products that I really like, our fish foods, right? I really want to get those from Corey. Well, then add it on, $50, free shipping, right? So it'll just depend on where you're already shopping, what makes sense for what you're doing. And I would say just look out nutrients for dollars and choose there. Because at the end of the day, everybody's going to have slightly different ratios, but, nitrates and phosphates and things like that, it's kind of like buying, I don't know, let's say you got to buy lemon juice, right, for your fridge because you use a little bit of it. And it's brand doesn't matter. Lemon and lime juice, it is. So find the one, whatever store is selling it cheap, and buy that one. Let's see here. How can you know if a fertilizer has ammonia? Is it usually listed? It's usually not super easy to find, but I'd have to look at listings and look at ingredients. And I wasn't prepared to do this, so it's not like I could be like, this is where you'd be seeing it. But we know Osmocote, for instance, leads to ammonia spikes. You can make incredibly cheap root tabs that way, but it also can spike ammonia. You see it happen. We're like, oh, I put a lot because it was real cheap, and then I got ammonia through the roof. Ammonia's 5.0. Glad I caught the live stream, putting it on while I work on the tanks. Question on breeding fish for profit. You mentioned starting with a business license and be a real business, but also mentioned starting with what you have and build as you go. How do you balance that? Real easy. So, starting with what you have, you own an aquarium, you own fish and all that. Great. Don't go what I'm saying there is don't go buy, you can start with just one aquarium and breed stuff, right? You don't what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stop people from doing this where you take a look and you're like, "Oh, that's 14 aquariums." Well, now you're buying 14 sponge filters, 14 bulkheads, 14 glass tops, 4 lights, substrate for 4 tanks, feeding, and then you're gonna get chemicals, food, medicines, airline tubing, everything times 14x, where you haven't even made a fish yet. So the first answer is don't jump straight into that if you're trying to breed for profit. The second part of that question was, how do you balance it? It's like, well, you do it because it's the law, right? And so a lot of times what you'll find is your state, potentially city as well, like the city of Edmonds, I think. I want to say a business license is $35 a year, and you just go to the courthouse and you grab one. Basically, you do a little bit of paperwork, $35, you are now a legal business. Whereas if you start establishing like an LLC, that's more paperwork. I want to say like in where Greg Sage was, he was telling me that it's like $400 a year annually. And so that obviously costs a lot more. I think in most of the US, you technically don't have to have a business license if you get under $600, but you still have to report it. But every state's going to be a little bit different there. But the goal is create a business, have a name, have some credentials, and you're going to get more for your fish. And it might be the difference between they won't buy, like we won't buy from you. If you don't have a business license, we will not give you cash because it's an accounting nightmare. So you have to be a legal business for our store to buy. Now we could do some credit or we could, find a way to do it. But as far as like, oh, I want cold hard dollars and we're going to go, cool. Where's the invoice? Where's your permits? Where's this? Accounting will cut you a check. And then, but most people, they just walk in. They're like, I got a bag full of fish. You got any money for it? Like, who are you? What are those fish? Why are you here? And that's 3.5 guppies. What are we going to do with that? And so the first step is legitimizing yourself and going, hey, I'm, Corridora Aquatics. I breed Corridoras. I have my permit. Here's my permit. Here's my list of the fish I sell. I can deliver it Wednesdays or Saturdays. Your choice. And you're much more likely to have, I'll take some of those orange lasers and some stir-bys at those prices. I like that. Let's try a group of 12 each to see how it's going. And we'll cut you a check. Or maybe they still go, oh, it's only store credit. Whatever they're going to do, but you legitimize yourself. And that's the balance there. Let's see here. 5 memberships donated from Tiffany White after being a member for 5 years. Nice work. I wish we could have a Pee-wee's Playhouse secret word thing that like when someone does something that's been around for 5 years. Now it's 6 years. We don't have a thing for it yet, which I still yell at YouTube for. Come on. Another good option is spending too much time at the fish store and getting on a first name basis with the owner. That also can work against you. I have people where I'm like, I won't buy anything from them because every time they come in, we lose $70 in employee time. So realize you got to read the room. Yes, I do recommend getting to know an owner, especially like the way it worked when we were a young business, getting to know us and the employees. People would bring us maybe like, I didn't drink coffee, but bring a coffee to one of the employees, or like, hey, we just smoked a bunch of salmon. Did you guys want some? We had another group of guys. It was 3 brothers that loved fish, and they would bring us fresh tamales that their mom would make on all the birthdays, and they were to die for. And because we were basically trapped, we worked noon to 8 at the fish store. an aquarium co-op, and at the time we were such a small crew, it'd be one person or at max on a weekend 2 people, and so you couldn't leave, right? And if you can believe this, back in my day, DoorDash and Uber Eats didn't exist. Not that I would have ever paid that money, but the only options you really had were traditional takeout. And I'm going to tell you, opening up your own fish store, you don't have that kind of money. Most of my days were top ramen behind a 180-gallon clown loach tank that was microwaved. And to spruce it up, we added some dehydrated garlic or freeze-dried garlic. So definitely was not in the budget. So kind of showing up, going, hey, here's the thing, and, talking for a little bit, doing it the right way, yes. There are people that would literally try and eat lunch every day at the co-op, and like, I can't have that. Like, I want to chat, you're a cool dude or woman, but what people don't understand, when there's someone in the store, you can't do other things. So if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to look for my lunch, you're just like, okay, well, I'm going to stand here for your lunch then. You can't go get on the computer and order. You can't, work on schedules. You can't do things because you can't just let the store be unmanned. And so even though you're like, yeah, you're just looking, there are people that will literally do it every day. Like their hour lunch every day. And it's like, oof. Like, yep. And it's not the worst, but it's also like, yeah, we're not trying to have those people come in more. So that makes it sound like I'm complaining a ton. I'm just saying, don't go overboard because that can backfire on you. There's a right amount of relationship building, I suppose. Let's see here. I've got a heavily pregnant female guppy, and she has had signs of labor for the last 2 weeks. But she's not given birth. Is something wrong? I'm not sure what signs of labor are. That's not something that I'm privy to. So I'm wondering, like, oh, are you seeing things that might be construed as like illness or something else? Guppies basically give birth every 30 to 35 days. Usually it's like a 1 to 2 day thing at max. Like, oh man, they look like they're going to give birth. And then like, oh, a day later they pretty much give birth. So I'm just wondering about the like 2 week thing. Like, what are you seeing that's like, okay, what sign is that I'm not aware of? This is literally me at my local fish store. I work there. Sometimes they're like, you got to go. Yeah, I mean, you can't sit there. Like, you can't do work, like office work and that kind of stuff if there's people in the store. You just can't. And so sometimes you're literally going, I have to place this order. You've got a customer that hangs out for an hour. And then you're like, well, I guess I get to start it after we close. Also, the other thing is, too, like, we have different rules. Like, for instance, I wouldn't start a big maintenance on this 150 if I had a customer in the store. And this was in my store. You'd wait till there's no one there, because the minute you get the water level down, they're going to be like, yeah, so I got questions and I'm thinking about buying something now. And it might take you 2 hours to get back to that. And it's not good. You kill off all the bacteria on the glass. You might have plants sitting out of the water. You've got all these little things going on. And so there's some tasks you can, and this only really applies when you're a very small store. If you have 5 people on staff, you can go, hey, one person's dedicated to maintenance and these tasks, other 4 people handling customers. That works fine. It's only when you're a very small store that this really becomes a, like, every minute I gotta utilize. I feel that was just me as a shopper. Well, and that's, there is no problem, I think. I think every store would agree with this. Like, the person that comes in once a week, spends an hour or more, that is what we want. It's the everyday lunch person, or I've literally also had customers that bring lunch. Like, oh, I'm going to be here for a few hours. And you're just like, oh, okay. And now you're like, you're going to be here so long, you packed a lunch. Oh. Now you're trying to think, how do I not get out of it, but I'm not gonna stand here and answer questions for 3 hours straight? Like, there's, because every day you got to feed fish, you got to clean some stuff, there's stuff you got to get done. Check on the bathroom, make sure it's clean, all of that. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep doing stuff, but in the back of your mind, you're like, but I gotta keep an eye out here. So yeah, don't be the person showing up, setting up a 5-course meal at the fish store. That's also why we have benches and stuff outside now, because now we're like, hey, go eat outside. Because there'll be families too that'll be like, oh, the parents will like bring the kids for a play date, and they'll be eating, and the kids are just smearing applesauce on all the tanks. Applesauce and boogers. Unless you've worked at a fish store, you think I'm making it up, but my employees will know, like, yep, you get that applesauce and boogers. It happens all the time. Got a plant question. My wife just bought Monte Carlo on a metal mesh. Any tips for growing it? I would not take it off that metal mesh. I would just basically put it as close as you can to the substrate, keep it happy, and it should spread. If you clip it and do a bunch of stuff to it, it's just going to lift off, and you're going to go, oh, now it's floating Monte Carlo. I remember, you'll get these whale customers where every time they walk through the door, they're spending $500 to $1,000, and they're amazing for your business. But I remember one just had this kid that I swear I was like waiting to be on TV, because each time the kid would do something insane where it's like, oh, I see you have this substrate. It'd be a shame if I was to open the bag and like throw it across the room. And then another time they had, the applesauce, as kids always got to have applesauce. They got the applesauce packet, drops it, stomps on it, and shoots it. Kind of like when you were, an annoying teenager and you're like, watch this. I could do this with ketchup packets from McDonald's and ruin my own clothes, my shoes, and something else. I did that outside a couple times, by the way, not inside. But yeah, so it was a blessing and a curse of like, these people love their aquariums, but this kid, I'm waiting for the camera crew just to be like, you've won. You've put up with all of this. You've made it the furthest by putting up with this. All right. The Corridora Catfish Collective Consortium Co., LLC, Ltd., Corp. Incorporated, PLC, LLP, trademark, would like to sell the co-op some Corridora Schultzi Black. Good. Send me the invoice, and then I'll bargain you down to $1 each. Let's see. I go to my local fish store every couple weeks. Once there, I like to browse on my own for an hour or so, then make my decisions and let the staff know. Luckily, they know me. Yep, that is a perfectly valid transaction. I love it when people are like, I'm going to look for like a half an hour, and then I'm going to hunt you down, and I'm going to have you bag me stuff. I'm like, sweet. I don't have to keep going, so, do you have any questions? So, has someone checked on you? Hey! You can just go, all right, we've established the terms. You'll spend a lot of time looking, then you'll let me know. I can do that. Be right back. Need to do the ketchup things outside. Yeah, go teach your kids that. In your own driveway. And then, I don't know why, but as a kid, I thought it was hilarious / quite devious. If you roll that ketchup packet and you like put it under someone's wheel, they're going to reverse and it's going to explode. Meanwhile, it really did nothing. And I don't know why that felt like, oh man, this is my thing. I think I only ever did it like 2 or 3 times ever, but it felt like, I'm going to get them. Meanwhile, they probably had no idea it ever happened. They're like, oh yeah, some ketchup must have been on there from someone else. I don't know. Let's see here. Anyone ever save their ketchup and mustards from lunch to stick under the bus tires after? I didn't do that at school. No. By the way, I thought you were going this direction, so I have to bring it up because it blows my mind. If you've ever been to Japan, they have packets that are ketchup and mustard combined that kind of, like, you know the little containers that you get jelly at, like a Denny's? Imagine that thing, but if you were to, like, pull it back and it broke into, like, it snapped in two, it comes out evenly, ketchup and mustard perfectly. It is a feat of engineering that somehow has never made it to the States. And if Aquarium Co-op ever starts doing condiments, it will only be that delivery method. It is amazing. 21 applesauce packet salute at the store expansion opening. I mean, it probably will be, not by choice. Yeah. Probably not even by choice. That's hilarious, though. All right, I ran through those questions, so now I can just hang out in the chat. We're an hour in. That worked out perfect. What is the metal mesh you use for your moss? I've heard you reference it before. I think it's just a stainless steel. Every once in a while they change it up a little bit, but yeah, just stainless steel. My snot is starting to build up in my nose. I started using erythromycin today for blue-green algae based on your reply on the forum. I'm following the instructions on the package, which doesn't mention an airstone, but I've read different online. Every aquarium on the planet should have an airstone. I'm just never backing off of that. And two, in my experience, you can just use one dose and let it sit for like a week. You don't need to redose every day, in my experience. You can do whatever you want. If you want to use 5 times as much product, I'm not going to stop you. But in my experience, having treated like a billion times over the last 20 years, one dose, let it sit for a week, that gets it 9 out of 10 times. At worst, I wait another week, then I dose it again once for a week, and that gets it 99% of the time. 9.9 out of 10. Yeah. My math was going like 9.9 out of 10. Is that still technically 99%? Or do I need to do 9.99%? I'm currently 3 hours in removing my dirted substrate. Was doing good, but I changed my mind. Don't let that dirted tank society get a whiff of that. They will just kill you. The amount of... I went on, Patty's Aquatics live stream. He's a dirted tank guy, which is fine. I have no problem with it. But the aftermath of, like, nerd fighting over planted tanks and just dirted tanks going on, I keep seeing it pop up, and I'm just like, just keep your own crap. Like, what are we doing here? And so, by the way, part of my social media revolution for myself, I realized nobody's doing anything. Because I've been doing this a long time, and basically what I see happening now from all the creators I'm seeing, everybody's giving an opinion on a thing, but not doing anything. What does that mean, Corey? Well, that means it's not everybody. I will say, like, MD Fish Tanks, King of DIY, and there's a few other ones I can't think of off the top of my head, but they will be like, hey, look at this thing I'm doing or I have done, and then you can just watch the video of them doing it. Everybody else is basically live streaming or making a video on, like, top 10 this, best way to do this, tips and tricks for this, without actually doing things. And so I've realized that in the past 10 years, we basically, it's almost like fish tubers, if you will, are not aquarists anymore. They are YouTubers. And so I'm pivoting hard, going, let me back way the heck off of being a YouTuber and just be an aquarist. Because I am first and foremost a hobbyist aquarist. Second most, I'm a businessman. And then third most, I'm a YouTuber. So if I got to choose my identity, I would choose to be a fish keeper. And so I'm going to lean into that hard. Like, and just keep fish. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I've been doing, but that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to show you me doing it. That's been the biggest problem, is like, I can tell you that I know how to do XYZ because I've done it a million times, but it comes with a certain amount of clout if you just do it. And so I'm just going to do it. I saw that you just came out with rubber bands. I've always tied my fish bags. Freak. Is tying the bag or using rubber bands better? In my opinion, being that I overanalyze absolutely everything to the detriment of my entire family and all of my friends and my coworkers, I believe it to be the best thing you can do for fish is a rubber band, not like most people do it. I do not like the way Dean does it. I do not like the way I don't want to see you. I don't have any of the supplies I need. I don't like the rubber band to go over it first, and then you twist the tail of the bag, and then over and over and over and over again. I like it so that you twist the tail, you put the rubber band on, 2 fingers, and then when you get home for the customer, because I'm all about customer experience, they should be able to hold the bag, lift the tail, and the rubber band shoots off. Now, you can pour that into anything you want. When you tie the bag, you save a rubber band. I like that. You've now tied a knot. Well, now what do you got to do? You got to either break it open, cut it open. It gets unwieldy. You have this nice bag. I should probably get a rubber band in a bag for the next live stream and show you guys how to properly do it. Because it drives me insane when stuff comes in the mail or other fish stores, and I'm like, why would you do it terrible? Like, this is the worst way. Now, you could make a case for, sure, but that rubber band could come off. Like, yes, but at the point that rubber band comes off, from the way I do it, something has gone horribly wrong. Now, I know that there is, you can band them with metal. There's a million different ways, and there's trade-offs. One's much faster, one can cut a bag, one does this, one does that. But yes, I am a big fan of the rubber band. Through all my testing at the store, rubber band is what I prefer. Oliver Guppies, John Oliver. When's your website coming? Every time I'm looking for fish, I go, ooh, has he finished his website? No. I just saw that you were commenting on Facebook, though, that you were redoing some big projects so that you could sell your guppies again. So, you probably have guppies right now, but you were getting some fish room stuff done. So I'm just adding fuel to the fire of, like, if you had a website, I probably would accidentally give you money at 11 o'clock at night when I'm on a guppy buying binge. And thank you for the memberships for the people. I will match that. The harder I rant about rubber bands and dirt, the warmer it seems to be getting in here. Weird. Band popping expert, numeral tuno. That's right. Let's see here. Yeah, you just pull it correct. Half the employees at my local fish store do it the other way, and it drives me nuts. I even dropped a rubber band in the tank trying to cut it off, and the fish almost ate it. Yeah, I want the easiest experience for my customers. And so, 1, I want it to be uniform. 2, I want the right rubber band. 3, I want everybody to understand it. Like, when you show them, like, watch this. Boonk. And they're like, wow, that's amazing. It's like a magic trick. Why doesn't everybody do that? Like, I know. And now I am talking about, this is one Aquarius to another or store to going home, shipping it in a box. Truth be told, I don't even use bags. Starting a whole new riot. But I would be more tempted to double rubber band or tie a knot, those types of things, because a box could get dropped from 10, 20 feet, and there's a lot of instant pressure on it when it lands, and that could make a rubber band move, but if you do it right, it shouldn't. Also, I should just make a tutorial that no one will watch on how to bag a fish, but when you're putting the rubber band on, so you have it on your 2 fingers, how do I not have a single rubber band in front of me? to my wife listening, don't bring me a rubber band. It's not that important. But when you're putting the rubber band on, each time you loop the rubber band on the bag, it should go a notch lower. You don't put it low and go up. You start low and keep going lower. That makes the bag tighter and tighter, and it makes it a better hold. So, yeah. All box, no bags. That's right. It's all just a bunch of boxes. Can an air tube that's too thin burn out your air pump? I have Tetra Whispers. I don't think so. I mean, if it fits on the tube, you're gonna be okay. You can get a lot of back pressure from too many check valves, too deep a tanks, too long of a hose, things like that. It can wear on it, but it's not just gonna be like, and there it goes, right? I always tied mine since I was afraid of leaks. I usually sell at auctions and afraid of people breaking it. Yeah, I mean, my big thing is always like, yes, we're afraid of someone breaking it, but what would it take to break it? And then you're going to, well, someone have to drop it or do something crazy. And then I go, how about we curb that behavior? How about we make it so crazy things aren't happening? That's what we should focus on. And again, bags are not the best way to present fish. Like, if you're looking to level up how much money you make at an auction, don't put them in bags. Like, it's real hard to see them in corners. They can fog up. Like, get yourself containers. Like, save all your like extreme containers and stuff and fill them up this much. And now you put some fish in it, and now you can really get a good look. Yes, they could throw this to the ground and break it too, but the only thing I don't do, this the first time I ever sold anything, it was a disaster. Because I don't know how I was like a marketing guy back then. I guess I graduated high school with marketing honors, but I was like, okay, I gotta get good money for my shrimp here at the auction. And so I went to my grandma's house, and I got mason jars with the lids, right? Well, it turns out grandma's mason jars from forever ago had zinc in the lid. And zinc kills shrimp. So as my shrimp were being auctioned off, they're like, and member number 606. Ooh. Yeah, these shrimp aren't going to make it. Yeah, we're not going to sell those. And I had like 4 things of 10 cherry shrimp that all died. And it was horribly embarrassing. And everybody knew who I was, because I was bidding like a madman on Tropheus and other stuff at this auction. So everyone was like, oh yeah, 606, that guy. And then it was like, that guy's stuff's dying. I looked real stupid. And I was horribly embarrassed because I was newer to the hobby and public. And I was still afraid of the public. But yeah, not a good time. Wanted to die. Meanwhile, I had to wait till the end to pay for my stuff and then got the heck out of there. But I learned a lesson. Don't use metal lids of unknown origin because they could have zinc and kill all your shrimp. So don't do that. I'm expecting guppies from Thailand this week. Do you suggest salt in their first tank and dose the trio ASAP? If you're doing salt, you shouldn't need to do the trio right away. So it all depends on how they come in. Sometimes they come in real rough, and you're like, oh gosh, I gotta give them everything and hope. Sometimes like, these are looking good. And so when they're looking good, a bit of salt in their tank, because I got no plans to put them in quarantine. And then if something pops up, I treat that. But if nothing pops up, then I will deworm them with Paracleanse for a week. And then usually they're ready to go somewhere where they're going to start breeding. Let's see here. By the way, if you're selling fish, Dean and I were talking about this a lot, actually, a couple weeks ago. I believe if you really want to sell fish at a auction, you should bring them in a cooler. The cooler should have pictures and details of all the fish that are inside of it on the outside. There should be heat packs or a heat pack running inside the cooler. and a heat pack for each fish being sold, like each group. So, and you have those details on the outside. So when it goes, hey, and now we've got Corey's Vienna Guppy Trio, and it says here that the bidding starts at $10, and it comes with a heat pack so that they will stay warm. They've been temperature controlled until I took them out of the box right now. They come with a heat pack. Whoever buys these will get the heat pack with them to keep them warm on their journey home. Let's start the bidding at $10. You will do so much better because there's so many people that don't buy fish like, well, I kind of got a long trip home. I don't really have supplies. You will just, all of a sudden, your stuff's selling really well, and they got to see great pictures of it during the viewing period. They saw that it would come with a heat pack. You will just get way more for your money. Now, if you're just selling feeder snails and you supply a $2 or $3 heat pack, like, you're going to lose money on that. But, assuming you're selling something people want, it can go a long way. In fact, you might get people that buy your stuff that don't really want it because they want the activated heat pack because they're buying other people's fish too, and then keep everything warm. Let's see here. I'm scared of selling my guppies as people don't seem to understand their needs for hard water. Yeah. Harder the better, but, education. Try to teach people. Make them fall in love with guppies. I moved houses so I could get harder water. I'm on a well. Have I ever gotten into glass belly guppies? Yes, I've paid $300 for 6 fry from Thailand when they debuted. I've been thinking about getting some from Fish Forever. Yeah, they're a fun fish. They teach you a lot about them. You can see the fry develop their eyes and everything in them when you can watch poop go through them. You can watch food go through them. You can watch all those things. They are great for just like, these are fascinating. And then when you go to sell them, they're like, they're okay. They're okay. People don't really fall in love with them. You gotta be a fish nerd to be like, these things are awesome. Where the average person's not a fish nerd. They're just going like, yeah, I like pretty things. Like, yeah, we all do. Let's see. I don't keep many live bears. My water is super soft. It comes out of the tap at 6.5. I lived there for a long time. All my tanks just had tons of crushed coral. And loved every minute of live bears still. Goodies I think are going to be popular. Goodians are going to be super popular in 2025. Dean just told me, by the way, that I think the ACA so the American Cichlid Association, and the ALA, American Live Bear Association, is doing a co-event with like 5 clubs in Texas with, in theory, there's rumored to be a day trip to go see Charles Clapsaddle's farm, which, if you've seen that video, it's awesome. So it kind of seems like, I might need to try to attend that, depending on when. But I've yet to go to an ACA convention, so it might be the first one for me. I spend like $10 a month on GH powder because of my hard water, or my weird water. I see. Saw a video today, Flourish versus Easy Green, and Easy Green was a top dog. Nice. I like to see it. I start like losing it in my mind when someone's like, this fertilizer's better, and then their explanation like doesn't make sense. Like, but everything you just said didn't make sense. It was more expensive for less nutrients, and like that's I just have to walk away and like remember, like, do the polite way to do everything is like, you do you. If this tank lives on tomato soup, hey, do it. I'm glad it's working for you. I'm expecting left side live bears from Imperial Tropicals. Do I know anything about those wonders? Oh, what are they? Yeah, they're the. I was gonna be so cool for a moment and call out their scientific name, and then I totally forgot it. It's something like I keep wanting to say one of my employees named Janessa, but it's similar. It starts with a J instead of a G. I'm gonna Google it now, which will not be nearly as cool. Lincia, where is it? One-sided liber. Where's your stupid name? Genencia. Yeah. So the lore behind these, and I've bred these and I've kept these. In theory, they like a right male. What does that mean? Okay. So in theory, the males, they're gonopodium, the fish's penis, because libraries have that, will only go one direction, either the left or the right. I can't remember exactly which it is, but it only goes one direction. And the females can only receive it from one direction. So you have to get the right male and the right female together. That was at least the lore in the wives' tale for a long time. When I bred them, they just seemed to they breed like live bears. It's fine. But they're kind of a cool spotted fish. And, fry or tiny, they can prey on one a little bit. You need a lot of plants and stuff like that. So, yeah. I honestly like API fertilizer. Yeah. API fertilizer is basically 99% potassium, 1% iron. So it's API fertilizer is basically our easy potassium, and then make 1% of it, add a little bit of iron, and now you have API fertilizer. But so this bottle treats 5,000 gallons. How much does Leaf Zone treat? Leaf Zone 16 ounce. It also, I think, has half the potassium, which can be useful sometimes. Like sometimes you're like, I just want a very little bit of potassium going in my tank. But let's see here. An 18-ounce bottle. That's weird. It says 18-ounce bottle, but then on the picture, no, it does. Oh, how come I'm not running a scam? This is an 18-ounce bottle on Amazon. Contains 16 ounces of liquid. Like, oh, that's a scam I need to run. Because I don't know. When you tell me, like let's say you're buying a pizza and you're like, oh, I'm buying an 18-inch pizza. Like, no, that's the box. There's only a 12-inch pizza inside. Didn't you know? You don't advertise the 18 ounce. You advertise the 16 ounce. Like, that's how much liquid you get. Anyway, 5 milliliters treats 10 gallons. So 5 milliliters of API Leaf Zone treats 10 gallons. 1 milliliter treats 10 gallons. 5x is potent. Now, if you break down Leaf Zone, I believe I looked it up. Do they have it listed on this product page? It has soluble K2O, which is the potassium. It has 3%. So let someone do this math. Someone writing this down. It's already 5x. And it's kind of complicated to do this kind of math. That's why someone's got to do it. Already, 5 milliliters treats 10 gallons, where easy potassium treats 1 milliliter treats 10 gallons. Easy potassium has 9%, 9.12% actually, potassium. Leaf Zone has 3%. So it's 3 times more potent just in the amount of potassium to liquid ratio. And then it's 5 times more potent in terms of when you go to dose it. So you have to multiply those, and I think it becomes like 15 times? Is it 15 times more potent? So, but the thing is, like, you can read packages sometimes and be like, they both treat 5,000 gallons. This one actually says it treats 946 gallons. So to be fair, $8.19 for the Leaf Zone, so cheap on them, on a shelf, right? And I gotta look at what our current price is because I don't want to misquote, but I believe it's $14.99. $12.99. So it's like a 15x amount of fertilizer for $4 more. Now, if you only need a little bit, hey, no harm, no foul. Leaf Zone's mostly chelated iron? How come it states that the iron's only 1% of it? Let me double check that. Am I getting fed wrong info? Mm, yeah, it says chelated iron in it is not 1%, 0.1%. So to me, that seems real low. What do I know? Chemistry, not my strong suit. All that math on the fly in front of a live stream really is for me to look stupid. So someone do the math, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I bought my 40-inch aquarium co-op light after my Higer light stopped working. I'm so glad I was able to buy one before this sold out. Ours are built like tanks. I'm going to be sad. I was thinking about it today. Like, basically inflation overall, which I'm not trying to get into any politics or really get into inflation too much, but there's some things in the hobby that have really changed in price, and there's some things that haven't. Like I would say API Leaf Zone. That was kind of like $8 10 years ago. Still $8. Crazy. But lighting, like a Fluval light or something. I was looking up my old videos because I was curious about it. And they used to be 175. Now they're 240, right? But the amount of like, and it's not everywhere, but like minimum wage and just compensation in general and the cost of stuff has gone up a lot. And so it's interesting to me though that like a Higer light could still be like $30 today, because like 10 years ago that would have meant that thing was like $12, $15, $17. And so it's crazy to think of like, huh. And so, because where I'm going with that is I bought some stupid expensive lights to test out that just came out at the end of the year. ADA and Chihiro's both put out new lights, and I spent a lot of money trying to perfect my 800 gallon. And I couldn't wrap my head around it. It's like, yeah, this is insane. And then when I kind of really thought about it, though, like, wait, hold on. This would have cost like 30 to 50% less like 5 years ago. That's more in line with what I thought. And so I would say that like the Aquarium Co-op light, Phoenix lights, Fluval lights hasn't really gone up very much, where higher end lights have, but proportionally so. So, you know, a $500 or $1,000 aquarium light, or I've been, you know, in my mind and with my friends, I've been throwing shade at bulk reef supply, and I think it's only a little unjust. The AI blade lights, they seem real expensive, and I have not had one in my hands, so I will be the first to be like, these things are awesome, didn't know how cool they were. But seemingly, I'm like, I don't know. That seems like, you know, a real expensive light. Now, they do offer them in like almost like a 6-foot length, with no one else does, so there is that, but you start hitting that $600+ mark on a light, and it better sing me to sleep. That's all I know in my mind. But $600 light today is probably like a $400 light 5 to 10 years ago, which would have been real expensive then. I still would have taken 2 like Fluval lights at the time. So anyway, I've just been thinking about that stuff going, because where I was going with this was Easy Green's been like $15 to $20 ever since we've had it. It's 10 years old this year, and I don't think it's ever been more than $10. And every year, basically, like, it gets a little more expensive to ship it and a little more expensive to make it. And it's like through scale, we fight that off of like, what if we buy more? What if I buy $50,000 at a time? But I was thinking like, it might get to a point where we are gonna have to raise the price. Oof. I hate to do it, but it's like, if everything costs more money, like when we launched Easy Green, my first employee made $12 an hour. Now we're starting employees at the retail store, high cost of living area, at 25. But the products kind of, I mean, fish have gone up some because we don't control the costs, so they go up. But yeah. We had the AI rep come in and show us a light. My boss said, yeah, I prefer the Chihiro's light, and we didn't start selling them. I haven't had one in hand yet. I was talking with bulk resupply people because I needed some strainers for the store, tanks were replacing. And they're like, we would love to see you sell these lights. And I was like, you can send me one and I will test it. Right now, my actual response was, it looks like you've adapted a saltwater light to freshwater because the spectrum does not seem optimal for freshwater. You got real high on the blue and on the red, but not so much in the green, which is what we like to look at. And yeah, you want to send me one? I'll play with it. I'll give feedback, but you know, it seems it's I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it. But there are definitely times in my life, because I remember the first flue ball light was this way. I just watched the video today, and I said like, oh man, I've been throwing shade about these flue ball 2.0 because the flue ball 1.0 sucked. It sucked pretty bad. Flue ball 2.0 was awesome. In fact, it's Steenfott's favorite light. But that was a case where once I had it in hand, I used it. I fell in love with the 2.0s, and I love the 3.0s. Still do love the 3.0s. I like them a lot better at 175 instead of 240 on a 4-foot light, but hey. So I do know that lighting, you can't see it in videos well all the time. Pictures don't do it justice. It is one of the few things like you gotta see it to know what is lighting doing. You could read a PAR thing. PAR has nothing to do with how it's going to make it look. And so, but I'm also not going to, shell out $300 to $600 and be like, let me see. Oh, I don't like it. Like if they want to send me one, sure. But I'm not going to kick my own money out for it. Let's see here. Yeah, so if you're local, by the way, and you're considering working at a fish store, we are starting people out at 25. The pay band is 25 to 35. The cost of living has gotten very expensive in Washington, especially in Edmonds. Edmonds is actually the highest. Well, not the highest, but you could argue if it's more expensive than Seattle or not. It's very expensive to live there, and we want to be able to have our employees live within a driving distance and all of that. So, but that does go into a whole new rant subject of like it's getting harder and harder to run a fish store in a high cost of living area and maintain the standards. So, let's see. Unfortunately, the Fluval 3.0 doesn't have a good solution for 30-inch tanks. Yes. The Aquarium Co-op light is way better for a 30-inch tank. This is my number one thing. Also, if you look at the Blade AI units, I even told them in this email, I go, and the problem is, I get a chance to use my camera. The problem is, I've got all these 40 breeders, and you literally don't make a light that fits it. You make a 24-inch light, and you make like a 38-inch light. And this is very indicative for me, working with light manufacturers. Those are European sizes. And so what happens is, if you just clicked a button and were like, hey, I'll buy lights from a manufacturer, those are the sizes they would have, because it's for the rest of the world. And so the fact that they didn't even adapt them to the US market is already like, bro, is this just a clone? Like, are you just like already the wavelengths of the light seems like it's more like saltwater tried to make freshwater, and then the sizing doesn't make sense. Just like that flue ball, why leave a gap? 30 inches, the 20 long and the 29 are one of the most popular aquariums ever sold in America, and that's a huge gap, in my opinion. So, yeah. Let's see here. What are we? How about taking on a 46-year-old Corey? What does that mean? I'm 5 years older, or is there someone else? I don't know. I don't know what that's in reference to. Let's see here. Corey, you should have MD Fish Tanks and Fish Tank Matt come rescape the 800. Well, seems unlikely. The one time I invited him to an event, I invited him to come hang out at a YouTuber booth at Vivarium. His manager responded with, how much are you paying him to show up? And I was like, oh, It's kind of not that situation. I was just being nice because I'm in that side of the world and thought I would, like, it's $100 flight to get over there. Thought I'd throw you an invite, bro. So I'm probably not willing to shell out the amount of money that the manager would charge me to have him come over here. Not that I want someone else to escape my tank anyway, but yeah, that dude's in demand. So, good on him. I will say that. He does good work. A few live streams ago, you talked about a live bearer being called something, Cracodon. Could you talk about them? Yeah, Cracodon lateralis. It's with a C, not a K, which is a brutal thing to spell out. Cracodon. They like to be cooler water. Like, they don't like to go much above like 73 degrees. You kind of lump them with goodeids. They're a rare live bearer. You're mostly looking for the black one or the red one. So there's a kind of a red variant and a black variant. Cool, but not super duper viable, I think. Like, if you're going to breed them for like a pet store, because they can't really live in tropical temperatures. So you gotta, but they are cool and fun. Just know that they're a niche thing. Who is Corey's manager? That'd be my wife, the assistant to the regional manager. No, honestly, if I had to say who's my manager for speaking and everything, it'd be Zenzo. Zenzo, like, you got to get past Zenzo first, and then I'll hear about it, because we get hit up a lot, and it's like, well, he'll do all the, like, what's the attendance? Are you covering flight and hotel? Like, what are we looking at here? And yeah. I love watching Candy be wrong. I don't know why. Because she knows me so well, 'cause she's been in every live stream, but she doesn't hang out in my fish room, so she won't know that, like, oh, Corey, have you spent around $3,000 with Chihiros in the last week? Yes. Corey, are you falling in love with Chihiros? Yes. Corey, has Chihiros launched insane amounts of products at the end of the year that are kind of awesome? Yes. Like their new heater, I'm real intrigued about. I want to test that thing. The update to their inline auto doser receptacle that also builds in CO2. Like, ooh, that's pretty good. Like, they're doing all these little things just lately, like in the last 40 days. Where if you had asked me a year ago, I'm like, they're pretty expensive. I don't know, right? But in the last like week, I keep stumbling upon these different items. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good actually. So their heater, it goes anywhere from 10 watts to 1,000 watts, and it's Bluetooth enabled, which is worth it's worth me torture testing and then going, yeah, I don't know, it's not that good. It might be great too. Like, half of my job is I have to test the stuff even when I think it's going to be bad, so that I can go, yeah, that was bad. Like, Awaze, you're bad. You're still bad. But then there's also the like, that they're actually it's pretty good. I hate to admit I'm wrong, but it's pretty good. So we'll see. So what I keep doing is I keep finding new products. I email them like, hey, you guys kind of want to work together? And then I'm like, screw it, I'll just pay for it. Because if I pay for it, I don't have to tell you guys. So everything you will ever see with Chihiro so far, I pay with my own hard money. So it's not like, this video is sponsored by Chihiros, and I'm less likely to be like, they suck. Whereas if I buy it, if I kick out the $100 for that heater, and it sucks, it's real easy to say it sucks. And everybody is this way, by the way. Whereas if they give it to you for free, right? You're like, if I crap on them pretty hard here, they're not gonna like send me a light or another thing I want to try. Like, okay, I better not do that. But I am interested in some of their products. I do think they have way too many lights. If you go to their website, you're like, how do you have 17 different models? That seems real dumb. But I did fall in love with some tanks with Chihiro's lights in Germany. I saw them on those cherry red Tetras. I bought one for Chris Lukup, and his tanks look great. Then I bought one when I got home, and I hated it. And I tried it on the 800 gallon. I tried it over there, and I hated it. And then, if I'm being 100% honest, and then I went to one of the home show people. It was actually the person that put it on. And his tanks looked so good that I pulled it back out of storage and was like, man, I'm doing something wrong. By the way, was not on the tank that I fell in love with, was not using Chihiro's lights, so just FYI. But yeah, so I'm still like, I gotta do something. I almost bought the brand new ADA lights. They are $1,000 a piece. They just launched, and I would have needed bare minimum 3. And then I was like, no, not doing that. I almost did it though. I was like, you know what? People's hater comments start getting to me, and they're like, oh, this guy could buy anything, and he's doing this and doing that, and his stuff looks bad. And so I was like, I mean, ADA, usually their stuff's pretty good. It's way overpriced, which is usually pretty good. But I didn't. Instead, I bought some Chihiro's lights. There's only one review on that light on YouTube, and the guy got sent it. So you will know once I unpack my $2,500 in lights. I'll let you know, are they dope or are they too much? Yeah. Yeah, $1,000 lights, insane. Which, by the way, I do think there is this different mindset that I've noticed between America and the rest of the world. In America, we keep way too many tanks. I literally have 14 there, 15, 16, 17, plus those 12. I have 29 aquariums. And they're fairly big by the standards of the rest of the world. The rest of the world starts with fewer aquariums, but they spend the same amount of money. So if I've spent, let's just pick a number and say I spent a lot of money, because like the 800-gallon aquarium was like $25,000, right? But let's just say all the gear and stuff I had to buy over the years and just everything. Let's say it's 20 grand, right? For 29 tanks. If you take that same 20 grand and you put it into 3 aquariums, and you buy the highest end glass, the $1,000 ADA lights. The guy that I visited, he literally had an ADA canister that was stainless steel, right? But if you put that same money into it, you end up with a pretty good looking product. Like, you do. But I also want to own more than 3 aquariums. So I'm trying to find, like, where's my middle zone? Like, that's crazy money and not scalable in any way, but some things they do are pretty cool. Rat Cross Studio. Is that the Rat Cross I know? Like the man, the myth, the legend? I never see you around. Maybe you just dodge me. There's no more totes? Yeah, we went toteless like a year and a half ago. I realized that I just can't keep up with that. And I wanted the offish, right? So I got this. I'm now in the fish room. Yeah. I'm over here sneaking money out of my savings for a new fish home, or for new home on fish. Yeah, I mean, and so part of me was thinking about this. So here's how I was justifying this insane purchase, by the way. Which you shouldn't do this if you don't have the money, right? So I'm a guy that normally buys the new iPhone every year. I like the way it works. I use it for work. I interact with it every day of my life. This is the 14 Pro, by the way. This is the 15 Pro. I am that guy. In fact, I should have another one. Well, I just look real weird. Oh, no, right here. Right here, I have the 13 Mini, which I use for an underwater camera, by the way, when I'm filming fish. So I still use all these. And when I go to Peru, I take all of them so that I can airdrop to myself and have backups in case I drop one into the river and it's 100 feet down and we'll never see it again. Anyway, I did not buy the 16 this year. But, the logic's the same for me. If I put really good lighting on this aquarium, or the 800-gallon aquarium, I literally look at it, interact with it, feed it every single day of my life. I'm sitting in a real stupid expensive chair so I don't ruin my back. Real easy to justify for me. I don't spend my money on Uber Eats and things like that. I don't drink coffee. I don't have a Starbucks habit. I don't smoke. I don't even drink alcohol. And so for me, I kind of had this moment of like, if I won't allow myself to buy high quality things that I truly enjoy and have dedicated my life to, then what am I going to spend money on? And then I was kind of like, I kind of like these guys. I've got some Tetras in here that are $50 each, which by the way, totally not worth it so far still. They're kind of starting to get kind of cool, but totally not worth it. But I justified that same thing with, okay, I'm a guy that lives, eats, and breathes fish for a living. If anyone was supposed to buy a $50 Tetras, it should be me. I'll be the guinea pig. And then I'm like, yeah, that's, I wouldn't buy them again, right? But I want to try these lights out to know, do I like them? Do I miss them? And it's a different product, right? Like, I don't always buy, like the iPhone, I use it every day, but if I needed, I'm trying to think of another device where it's like, oh, I would just buy a mid-tier thing. I actually don't know, but, yeah. So that's how I'm justifying it. I'm like, I gotta spend my money on something. I'm gonna try these stupid expensive lights, and because no one's done reviews, not that I'm not necessarily gonna do a review, because I'll come off looking like, I'll look like, oh, that guy's just trying to do a thing, you know? But if they are super cool, I'll let you guys know. I'm not doing it to farm views, you know? It's not like, let me unbox $6,000. I'm not doing that. If they're dope, I'll let you know. If they suck, I'll let you know. And you'll see it in the aquariums. What are the $50 Tetras? They're an African Tetra, I believe. Burchardi. Something Burchardi. Two words that no one can pronounce put together. That's what they are. Let's see here. By the way, so MD Fish Tanks runs Chihiro lights. There's a big difference, by the way, in my opinion, on being sponsored and not being sponsored. I don't know if he is or isn't, but there's a lot of stuff on the wall he gets sponsored for. But there's a big difference in, like, if Bulk Reef Supply, for instance, sent me 30 lights. There's a big difference. Like, AI Prime is awesome and free for me. And I spent $10,000 and bought 30 lights AI Prime, and they're dope, and they actually are cool. Those are completely different worlds. One spent hard-earned money on them and likes them. Another one's like, I love them for free, right? It's kind of like you could have your favorite restaurant. I'll give you a gift card to your favorite restaurant for $200, or as much Taco Bell as you can eat every day for the next year. Or for the rest of your life. So every year I'll give you a $250 gift card to your favorite restaurant, or I'll literally give you unlimited Taco Bell. And you're like, yeah, but Taco Bell's kind of garbage tier these days. And then you're like, yeah, but free's pretty good. You know, like free, like I could just go get a soda every day. I could give it away. Most people would take the Taco Bell because it's literally unlimited. You would take everybody there. Boom. There you go. MD's API, his lights are all different. Good on him then. Then that I would say, like, if someone's spending their own hard-earned money on it, then yeah, it's a lot easier to go, yeah, that's the thing. And by the way, before everybody that, you know, wants to hate on me hates on this live stream, I realize the irony of being like, Corey, you just you sell your crap because you produce it. Yes, you should totally factor in that bias when you shop with us. Like, it is in my best interest to tell you to buy our crap. That is always true. That is always true. So realize it's not lost on me, but I try to do a very fair job, and I try to put things into categories. For instance, like our light and a Chihiro's light, or an ADA light at $1,000, not even the same customer. The person that buys ADA lights might be buying a Porsche. The person buying an aquarium claw plate might be buying a Toyota Camry, right? And then like a super budget light off of Amazon might be more of like used car hand me down. I've only ever bought one. No, that's not true. It's two now. We bought our car and our van, but up until 2018, I had never bought I never bought a new car in my life. So I am that guy. I would say I still am that guy. I would much rather buy something used than brand new, but oftentimes I can't find what I want brand new. So, yeah. Nathan says, oh no, and an aquarium company called Superfish. Yep, I think they do all the tanks and stuff. I only passively observe his stuff from time to time, so I don't know enough to call it out. Which I wasn't trying to purposely call him out, by the way. People were talking about it, but yeah. Let's see here. To be fair, I haven't got a product from you guys that I didn't have any complaints about. I just can't say the same for the other guys. I mean, our stuff has problems. Like, we've had problems in the past. We try to make it better, and we usually do make our stuff better, but I'm coming more to terms with that. Like, you can't do the level of commerce and stuff we're doing and not have some problems and dissatisfied customers. And like, I can look at it and be like, oh my gosh, we had to refund 22 shipments of plants. Oh, that's horrible. Like, that's a bad experience. Oh, out of 2,000 this week? Oh, that's not so bad. That's great, actually. And so that's the problem, and that's why I rely on Randy, my VP. I get real emotional because I'm in the comments with you guys. I'm in the forum. I'm in Facebook. And I see it, and I instantly go, I got to fix this. This is unacceptable. And then we get the data, and it's like, oh, we're literally talking 1 out of 1,000 this happens? I'm likely to do more damage trying to fix it than just letting 1 out of 1,000 happen. Like, I can't drive every package to your house, so I can't prevent everything. I can only go, we've gotten so optimal, I'm not sure we can get better on some of the things. Like, we looked at maybe altering our algorithm for heat packs and stuff more, and but we spent like a week and spun up the developer, I'm like, I actually think this might make it just as stable, but in a different way. You're just changing the risk from here to here. So, by the way, I'm not professing my love for Chihiros. I'm just saying they're making a lot of moves. They have a lot of interesting products. I'm planning to test some with my own money. And ask me in a couple months, and I'll let you know if I'm fanboy or not fanboy. I will say this. They might be the only other aquatics company I've ever run into that has shirts up to 5X. I almost bought one, even though I didn't need the 5X. They were out of a 3 and a 4X, which I would wear somewhere in there. And so I was almost going to buy one out of principle of like, let me support them for carrying a shirt size I could actually wear. So they won some kudos points for me because I go out of my way. I think we sell up to 5X. We would sell higher, except they don't go bigger with the shirts we normally sell. So, yeah. I'm a big fan of the magic small fish food. It even draws out my vampire shrimp. Yeah, I was saying earlier in the chat, the small fish feed is amazing for shrimp. Fan feeders, yes, but also just the fact that it spreads out through the whole tank. My colonies have been going bananas because I think they're just straight up getting more food. I don't put more food in the tank, but it spreads out so much better. So it's not a more load, they just get more of the pie. Is Chihiro's a Japanese brand? This is where I get shut down. They're in Hong Kong. Depending on who you talk to is where you would align Hong Kong, right? Didn't like celebrities get canceled if they say the wrong thing, right? Where they're like, yeah. So I believe it's a Hong Kong company when I was on the website last night, but I could definitely be corrected. Um, let's see here. Where am I getting my Chihiro stuff? I ordered some directly from their website. I ordered some on Amazon, but I literally have only had the one. Nothing has arrived, so I'm ordering it from there. I don't. It could never arrive technically. Yeah. Let's see here. Is there a good Chihiro's aftermarket? You mean like a used market? I have no idea. If you have been on the website for like 30 minutes to an hour, you now are as well versed as I am, pretty much. I mean, I'm a little bit more because I've seen them at some shows, but I never like. Part of the problem is you watch companies come up, and if I saw them 6 years ago, it's like, yeah, this product line, I don't know. But they're still doing their thing over 6 years, and they launched a bunch of products like right at the end of the year. And all this new stuff is what has me going, oh, that actually is pretty clever. Okay, I kind of like that. So we'll see. You know, I have taquitos and an air fryer if Corey drives my order to my house. I mean, you're one step closer to the person that doesn't have taquitos. Yeah. The only problem I have with Chihiros is one, I have no idea if I'm saying it correctly, and two, I misspell it 400 times in a row. I have to sit there and be like, it's kind of like Chihuahua, Chihiro. Google, help you. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So I don't even know the brand enough to spell a weird that seems hard for me correctly yet. Let's see here. By the way, uh, Candy does an amazing job, and hopefully you won't harass her about Chihiro stuff because we aren't selling it. I'm just bringing it up because I'm trying to just make conversation, and I have no idea which of the 700 varieties that they sell would be good on your planted tank because that's the type of questions that come in. Like, I was thinking about, and like, we don't know. We don't have enough experience with them. And even if we did, it's not like I'm buying one for every employee and be like, test it. Now you can guide people. They won't know. So, yeah. How great would a Chihuahua light be? They'd be the best. Give me some long hair Chihuahua lights. Chilling here in my Aquarium Co-op shirt after cleaning my tank and watering my plants. Best way to spend a Sunday. That's right. Fish School Sunday. Would Petricola bug Corridoras? Not in my experience. I think they'd go okay together. Program Chihiros into your autocorrect now. I probably should. I should. Although I kind of want to just make it a meme and only call him like Chihuahua. I wonder how long I could keep that going, and if I could convince, like, if I ever see him at a show, they just think I am the dumbest American. Where it's like he keeps calling. Did he say Chihuahua? Did he call it a Chihuahua light? Like, always spell it correctly. Like, if I do a title on a like reviewing the Chihiro's Vivid 3, but then be like, yes, Corey from Aquarium Co-op here, and today we're reviewing the Chihuahua Vivid 3 light, and just never break character. God, I live to troll like that. I should do this. Although it's only going to make customer service's life harder. We're like, what is Corey talking about? This Chihuahua thing? And then you'll get people emailing like, did you know that he's a... And then they have to go like, yes, we know he's an idiot. Oh, man. I'm always curious to who's the person that messages customer service of a company about another company. That's hilarious to me. I don't know how often it goes on, but every time I peek in, it's all the time. All the time. Especially any company we've ever worked with. Like an Aquahuna, a Flip Aquatics, an Extreme, a Phoenix, a Fluval, all of those. It usually, a lot of them are like, hey, I'm not getting an instant response. It's like, yeah, most people don't do any business on the weekend. We do. So, and they want an answer faster, and they know we're good at it. So it's like, yeah, well, we do our best. Yeah, we do our best, and we encourage you, by all means, send as many, not as many, but if you have questions about our products or problems, we have people on staff, and it's the best job security they can ask for, is answering your questions, helping you buy stuff, and helping you with, fish and that kind of stuff. So, we just hope that it's a two-way street. If you're 22 emails deep, think about placing an order with us. Maybe, it's not a free resource. We do have to keep them employed. So, but we love all types. The new Nano Light Chihuahua, I like it. Love the live stream, Michael Young. 4-year member, nice. I'm just saying that there's a type of person that does that. Oh yeah, I mean, have I done that? I honestly don't think I've ever done it. I usually just get emo about a company and go, I don't even want to contact them. And then my wife harasses me for like a week, like, just email them, just call them. And then I'll try calling them, and it'll be like, oh, we're only open East Coast hours, and you live on the West Coast, so this is never going to work out. Try sending us an email. And then I send an email, and then 2 days go by, and they don't respond, and I just get enraged of like, it's during the week, it's not even a weekend, like, what are you guys doing? You are driving me insane. More than 2 days? Like, how are you in business? And then I usually swear them off. Or they're so good that I just say screw it and I buy another one, and then still hate them, but they have the best product, and so they get away with it. I think you should put a churro machine in the new store for customers who have a 2+ hour drive. Then I could stay all day and spend more. I would, except you're already doing it wrong. If you're not eating at the taco truck in our parking lot, you're screwing up. Pastelitos from that place, I get them every time. You would think, like, every time? Every time. Every time I go to the store, if I am there during hours, pastelitos will be purchased. Specifically the ground beef pastelitos. And they're always like, you don't want to try anything else? I'm like, you'd have to start screwing these up for me to want to try other stuff. I did try, he was trying some new tacos, and he gave us a plate of them, and I ate them, and they were dope. But pastelitos are the best. I just bought the floating pellets and the magic small fish feed. So far, I think it's amazing. Thank you. Love the hard plastic bottles. Yeah. These are actually miniature frisbees, if you didn't know. Let's see if I can do it. See? Some people recycle them. Some people set up an entire miniature frisbee golf course on their property or their yard. So, I should have thought of that a little better, because playing miniature golf frisbee in your yard, most people have grass, you throw it, if you don't get a hole in one, you lose it forever. And then your lawnmower eats it and chucks it 1,000,000 miles an hour. 3 confirmed kills, by the way. Have I ever bought discus from Europa Discus Center that you toured last year? Or know anyone that has bought and shipped them to the U.S.? Thinking of ordering, and I'm curious of others' experiences. No, I have not bought from them, and I don't know anyone specifically. And I've been meaning to email you for like probably a week or two, Tyler. I keep wanting to send you an email. One, because I still feel eternally guilty that I have not published your article / done the work on your traveling with fish. So let me apologize for like the 7th time on that. I need to do that. And then second, I was going to email you and be like, you should either friend me on Facebook or let me know next time you're in Seattle and you can come tour this place if you'd like to. Not that you have to. You could totally be like, bro, I'm not doing that. But being that I want to nerd out and be a hobbyist more, I did have a good time chatting with you at the airport the one time, and I know you've bought stuff from my store, and you've traveled here a few times, so I kind of wanted to be like, hey, maybe schedules will line up at some point, and hopefully you're not a stalker that's like, literally I'm on the plane right now, I'll be there in 11 minutes, Corey, like, whoa, okay, but I thought I would offer that up, which I'm not offering that to the entire world. I haven't met you all, and don't take that as a personal offense to everybody. I'm just trying to do a little bit more one step at a time. Let's see. While I am here, the unsung hero product of the line is the power head. I use them all over the place, including a 1,000-gallon pond pump outside. Totally bomb-proof. Yeah, if you're using our power heads like that, you want to get that water polish. I'll be producing like a video and some other stuff on the forum. It's just a 3D printer DIY. Make a friend. Also, someone in the forum made these. Yeah, they are 3D printed binocular eyes, and they're really pretty useful, I would say. They actually have another use too. You can use them to adapt your undergravel filter, like the little 1-inch tube, and put easy flows on them. So some people use them for that. I've been using them as binocular eyes, but yeah, you can find that on our 3D printing forum thing, and they take like 20 minutes to print. And let me see here. This is not harder at all, actually. This you would think it'd be way harder to wear these and do the show, but it's not. Let's click here. So if you see here, the actual bottom to middle next to that tank with all the guppy grass, they actually have undergravel filters with easy flows. So yeah, everybody in the hobby doing things, making it come together, making my life easier and harder. I don't know where my second binocular went. All right. It's after 5, just so you guys are aware. I'm on the West Coast, and Wincy, my dog, starts losing it right about now. She knows that every day but today, I normally eat somewhere between 5 and 5:30, Dad and Mom. And so she will start like doing this little and that's how she lets us know, like, it is dinner time, in case you weren't aware and you were not paying attention to the time. So if my wife summons me, because she had surgery a few weeks ago, she's still on restriction. She's not allowed to bend down and put the dog food down until she gets cleared. So, the dog could be mauling her right now and needs to eat. So I'm not trolling my own dogs. Oh, wait. My wife came up with a good troll. Because we were talking about, is it Steven or Stefan? And I said it's Steven. But she came up with she combined Steven and Stefan. And I was going to call you that, but I can't remember it. Steven, Stefan. I don't know. She's got to type it out or tell me. I can't do it live. Oh, my wife's sending me stuff right now. Oh, Wincy currently is on her back being pet a bunch. So, looks like we're safe for the moment. My nano sponge filters were too old for the Easy Flow accessory. So disappointed when they didn't fit. Your retail partner gave me a credit, so it's all good. Well, if you see that retail partner store, again, let them know to make sure to hit me up, and we will credit them. I never want my RPP, my retail partner store, to be the one that's out. So we will always try to make it right. And I say try, because sometimes you can't. You can't just make it. Some people are pissed or whatever. Stephen. Yeah, I think it was Stephen. Yeah, we were going to go with Stephen, I think. But yeah, I don't want the retail partner store to be out. And I want to encourage them to just make it right. Just make it right for our customers. Like, even when something goes wrong for Aquarium Co-op, I always want to be like, this thing happened and it sucked, but then Aquarium Co-op made it right. And then I'm like, yep, things are going to go wrong. I just want to make sure the sentence ends with, and then they made it right. I try so hard to make sure we get there. We don't always get there. There's sometimes like we just can't. I can't think of good examples of like when we couldn't. Like sometimes people will refuse to send a picture on a dead plant or thing. Like, well, like sometimes there's these little things you have to do. Otherwise, like we set the bar so low. If you have a faulty product, we don't make you cut the cord. If you have a dead fish at home, you just send us a picture. We don't make you cut it in half like some fish people would. All that kind of stuff. My wife says it's Steve Finn. Steve Finn. Steve Finn. Aquarium Co-op bulletin board item. Atlanta Braves. Ozzy Albies mic'd up during the game talking about his aquariums. I don't know anything about that. To me, it sounds like you're describing this thing called sports. I avoid them at all costs unless I'm physically playing them. But I would lose my mind. I will lose my mind the minute I see Aquarium Co-op products brought up in any context ever or shown anywhere ever that's not like a normal aquarium setup. So, if that is happening, by all means, make sure we see that, because I will lose my mind. The RPP was 360 Aquatics in Houston, Texas. They're the best. Good to know. Probably what'll happen is I'll follow up with that like 9 months from, not 9 months, but like 3 months from now when I'm in Kentucky and I see our RPP dedicated customer service rep, and I'll be like, by the way, I remember, did we ever have something come up with 360 Aquatic? And then they'll be like, yeah or no. And then I'll be like, well, there's a thing, and let's ask them about it. So, do I have replacement fish food that used to stick to the glass? I miss giving the fish that food because it didn't make a mess in the tank. I have samples of ones that we've considered making, but they're not as good. The Sarah Onip tab was the food you're referring to, and while I could definitely click a button and we would be making them and you would buy them, I still think they can be better, so I haven't pulled the trigger. I often cripple us by, once I know there's a flaw that I think we can make better, I won't launch it. That doesn't mean things don't get launched with flaws and then we have to fix them. But when I know, I'm like, we just need to find the right way to do that. My team's like, you're killing me. Like, this is good enough. And I'm like, good enough isn't the best. And we try to launch the best. And they go, fine. I live by this rule that I have to prove it to myself before we'll sell it. And so last night, as I was catching gold barbs out of there, which there's still one gold barb, I was putting paces through nets, and one of the test nets, I was like, you know what? I do like this net. And so in 6 to 9 months probably, our new nets will come out. And they will be similar to other nets on the market because, again, you can't go too crazy with nets. But we're finding there's lots of basic products in the hobby right now that are in a shortage because of looming tariffs and things, and that would be things like nets, gravel vacs. Those are the two I can think of right off the top of my head, but mostly those two. And so when money can't buy those products, like, okay, I guess we have to make some. And while we're making some, it's like, all right, well, I guess we'll make them how we want to make them. And so I'm just narrowing down the length of the net, basically. But at the end of the day, you're going to be like, this is just a net, Corey. I'm like, yeah, I know. But it was really hard to buy nets, so we made the best ones we thought. I've chose between different coarseness and fine of the nets and things like that. And, of course, there'll be Aquarium Co-op green, of course. At least the handles will be. With black nets, actually. Black net, green handle. I got to match those super chats from Eric Wyrock. Right here. I almost memberships. I don't know if I almost super chatted myself again, which is the dumbest thing. I keep saying that. There's probably someone super chatting themselves and going, he's calling me out, bro. I say it's the dumbest thing because you would just lose money doing that. And there's no benefit for it, people. Chihiros is winning me over with the fact they're selling parts for their lights now. Does anyone else do that? Phoenix was. I don't know if they still are, but they used to. So one of my initiatives in our company, by the way, as of like, I mean, it's kind of been growing, but I officially like brought it up in our quarterly meeting, was I want to supply more parts for our stuff, for other people's stuff. Like, I want a section, and people can be like, you can go there and get it. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to carry every part for every product, But I should, like, this is a good example. Right now, we have it that if you had a problem with your air pump, we could send you a new diaphragm. But one of the things on one of the next containers, it'll be like, hey, we want a card. Imagine that, like, this was now the, a nice little thing that could be on the wall at a store is a replacement diaphragm. Because these are parts that break down, right? After X amount of use, after a year, that rubber's been going for a year straight. It starts wearing, and eventually it's going to go, and then like, oh, my air pump's not working. And then you go, yeah, you got to buy a diaphragm. It's a part. It has to be replaced. Just like brakes on a car or whatever. Like, they last a long time, but then you used it so much that you have to replace it. And so it's our goal to do that, which, there's other stuff. I don't want to spoil it, but there's other stuff being manufactured right now. I can see stuff just off the camera that will be in line with that as well. So we are working towards that. Are you going to put the pumps back on the fertilizer bottles? No, but we will. I'll ask for that an update this week. We will have them for sale, which you're going to be like, that's stupid, bro. Yeah, we moved to the dosing caps, but some people still love the pump head, but they're a pain in the butt to send, and they cost money. So they'll probably be like $1 or $2 to buy them, but we'll have them on the website and just reuse them. Let's see here. Amen to that, Eric. Send candy to the Clash. I won't actively fight it, but it's never in the company's best interest to take all of our employees to events. Just because the more people that go to an event, the harder it becomes on everybody else not at the event. So, like, I know there's been times when some of the customer service people have been in an event, and then other people have to, cover it. So... Plus, it gets real easy not real easy. It gets real weird when you start taking people to events. You have to justify, like, but did you need the people? Because then everybody's like, well, I just want to go to an event. Like, I work for you too. Like, okay, we can't bring 30 people to an event. Our company will come to a screeching halt. So we rotate a little bit, and then it's those who make sense. Like Zenzo, a lot of times will go because one, he's a speaker, so he's speaking at the Clash. But two, he'll have a mission of like, hey, we need to, talk with RPP stores, we need to talk with this company, we need to do that, as well as me doing that kind of stuff too. And then Randy will be doing that same thing if he goes, but he'll be more of like a driving thing maybe. But we're not setting up a booth, so we're not staffing a booth. Normally we staff with 3 people, including me. Potentially my wife's going though, which the business doesn't pay for that. We pay for that, which probably seems like all the same thing. It just means that it's different somehow. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I was going to match Michael Young's 10 gifted memberships. Big Steve's Glass Box donating $5. And Kelly donating $9.99. Well, I won't be putting that towards a plane ticket for her, but we will put it to good use. I was trying to think if I wanted to start a charity the other day, which I realized is just too much work, but and I wouldn't be good at it. Or let me put it a different way. I wouldn't focus on it enough to be good at it, and so I shouldn't do that. But my thought was, I want to take eventually some of the money we're doing. I don't want to talk about that. We make donations to different organizations of the company and personally to different causes. I don't want to get into it because then people are like, why not my cause? How dare you? Why not my cause? But I wouldn't mind getting some money towards different things around the Amazon region and things like that, and supporting some long-term projects. But I want to make sure I try to do it in a way that makes sense instead of, just it appearing to be like a money grab. I don't want it to be like the Petco, like, do you want to round up just to make us look better when we donate money to this cause? I actually want to try to go there and be like, hey, here's what your money did last year, guys. Like, or do some kind of match Like that's kind of where I'm going with it, is like, if we were to do a thing. Oh, my thing's freezing over here. Come on, let me donate. I want to do a thing of like, hey, if you were to donate at the end, which, by the way, okay, pause, time out. There is one enraging thing about Chihiros. And by Chihiros, I mean Chihuahuas. I think it is ridiculous that when you buy on their website, they ask for a tip. Do you want a tip? They are literally the manufacturer. It's not even, like, to me, it's just like, that's not like tipping at the restaurant. That would be tipping, like, the supplier of the food. It's not even like tipping the cook. You'd be tipping the step behind that. So if I ever get in the same room with them, we're like, you guys, you gotta get rid of it. It's so ridiculous. Like, you could convince me if they were a retail store, like, I wouldn't do it at my retail store, but you could at least talk to me about, like, oh, well, the frontline worker or something, like, maybe. But on that expensive of like luxury, to me, it's no different than Apple being like, would you like to tip us as a company? Like, oh, your super high end premium thing. Like, what am I gonna do? Tip the Ferrari dealership next? Like, what are we doing here? All right, back to what we were talking about. If we were gonna do a type of charity thing where, like, oh, part of, like, if you guys donated at checkout, let's say you wanted to round up, or maybe we go like, hey, 1% of all sales go to it. I want to try and match it or something. So that it's not just, hey, will you guys donate money and we'll look better? Kind of like the membership thing. Like, if you guys donate memberships, I will match it. If you donate to an Amazon cause that we, try and, I don't want to say vet, because I don't want to do that. And some people will be like, oh, let's give money to anybody. Like, I basically, I see what MT Amazon Expeditions does. I've seen the medical boats. We've sponsored them on our own accord in the past. They need to upgrade some of their equipment and other things. And so being able to go there, I'm like, yes, could they be in the mafia for all I know? Certainly they could be. But being that I've been there and I know the people, it's less likely than random place that I'm just going to be like, I Google them for a minute and a half. They seem logical. Anyway, if we do something like that, I want to try to, like, hey, you guys give $1, we'll give $1 type of deal. And then hopefully, and I did research on it, and basically, like, there is no advantage outside of a company. Like, I was like, is there a good tax break or something? The answer is no. It's just the same. You're basically just trying to do good marketing. Like, I basically could spend $1,000 and market to you guys on Facebook. Or we can spend $1,000, and if you guys go, hey, I like it when you spend $1,000 and you give it to the Amazon, because that's where our fish come from, I will buy from you because I like that you do that. That's a better way to advertise. So, it's not really a tip if you ask for it. Well, to be fair, it's not like a video doesn't pop up and go, would you like to give me a tip? It defaults. Let me go to I'd have to get all the way to checkout, but it defaults as like pre-selected. Do you want to do like, okay, now I got to do it. Because I feel like I got to try to be extra on my game when I'm calling somebody out. Let's see here. Let's see that new Vivid 3 light. Why not? We'll add that to cart. And a US plug. Click add to cart. Checkout. Let's see. Yeah. So add tip is pre-selected. It says show your support for the team at Chihiro's Aquatic Studio. 3%, 5%, 10%. Or add a custom tip. So at least it's not 20, 25, and 30. But I still think it's crazy. I'm anti-tipping overall anyway. So what do I want to say with this? I don't believe the logic that if you can't afford to pay your workers a living wage, you should go out of business. Because there are plenty of businesses that things happen and they can't control it. But I do believe that businesses should just charge. If so, for instance, the Chihiro's Vivid 3 Light is $572 before tax. If you need more money for your people that work for you, like 3% is $17.19. Just make the light $600. Like, I just charge what you need to charge, and I can make the decision instead of me feeling like guilty, like, oh, shouldn't I? And like the fact that I bought 4 of those things for the 800 gallon, like, well, should I be tipping $80? And then at the same time, it's like, oh, shipping is 7 to 15 days. Like, bro, you shipping it on the snail mail? But for $19, I can get it 4 to 10 days. And so it's like, so I could pay $17 and tip you, or I could pay $19 and get my product in 4 to 10 days. Or if I spend $20, I can get it in 3 to 7 days. So, I don't know. I'm big on businesses charge what you need to charge. So that way I can just go in and be like, yep, that's the price I'm going to pay and not feel bad about it. But the narrative of businesses, if they can't afford to pay their employees a living wage, they should go out of business. The take I have on that real quick is oftentimes people don't see all the things. And so they're just like, well, they had plenty of time. Sure, we knew minimum wage was like going up, but you didn't know that inflation was going to go up so much because of COVID and other things, and that tariffs could be 25 or 100% this year in a few days. Like, I literally have $200,000 worth of stuff on the water that if the tariff changes to 100%, right now, if it lands today, I owe $50,000 to pay the tariff. If they move it to 100%, I now owe $200,000. Those are big enough amounts of money to start putting small businesses out of business. And so you're in this weird spot of like, pay your people way more money, like, cool. But this other thing in the business, whether it's rent, whether it's the price of ingredients like eggs and milk and, other things, so if you're a restaurant, let's say you're a chicken restaurant, right? And the bird flu is going on and chicken's crazy expensive. Do they deserve to go out of business because they can't pay their employees $25? Like, they literally might be going out of business because chicken went up 50%. And so I just think that while there are evil corporations that never pay their people enough money, there's also a decent amount of small business out there that's trying as hard as they can and would give their people more money if it was that easy. So just trying to separate those two and just saying, Chihiro's tipping, bro. Don't do it. Like, just make it be the cost. Just whatever the cost is, the cost. Just make it be the cost. Just the cost. I'm being told that my chihuahuas, my actual chihuahuas, Wincy and Tinky, would like dinner. And therefore, I have to go put it onto the floor for them so they can eat it. And that also means I'm 30 minutes past. And I would like to eat some dinner too. So, chorizo lights. I like it. G-Bear, old school guy. Yes, so let me get back to my job. You should sync up your account if you became a member. You'll save 5% on our website. If you'd like to buy things, someone is asking me to convince them to buy more stuff. Buy all the stuff. Do not worry. At the end, when you're going to check out, it will not ask you for a tip. You will just pay the price. You'll have to pay some taxes. I can't control that, unfortunately. But you will not be asked for a tip. And yes, all the things except for brine shrimp eggs. Yes, we are out of brine shrimp eggs currently. They are being manufactured. Well, they might be on the water now. They might technically be on the water now. They're on the way. But yes, buy all the things we have in stock. We will not ask you for a tip. We will offer you good customer service. We will pay our employees the best fair way that we think we can and be sustainable. Because I have to be careful what I say. Like, you had an extra $7. You could have given that to us. Like, we also have to plan for the future. We have to launch new products. That takes capital. there's lots of things in flux. Literally, look at that. It's dinner. I gotta feed the dogs. I literally have an alarm set, so I go, oh yeah, I gotta go feed the dogs. So do realize you have to put stuff in the vault for, like, what happens if Corey gets sick, can't make a video for 6 months? What happens if this or that happens? So, it's always on a sliding scale, and I hope that for majority of the time that Aquarium Quaff's been in existence, we continually keep raising pay, we keep raising, everything we're trying to do, and, truth be told, I if I'm being 100% honest, last year, I worked for negative hundreds of thousands of dollars. I did not profit last year. So, even though we're paying our people more money, literally, did not, no, I guess I guess, technically factoring my salary and the amount of money that I had to loan back to the company, it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I am negative. So all the work I did last year, I worked for negative money. So it's not always easy as a small business. If you'd like to buy some crap from us, we love selling stuff that is not crap. We will stand behind it. We will put on a live stream next Sunday, most likely. We will be working in the fish room. I'll try to make a members only video, and I'll be on the forum and in Facebook hanging out, answering questions, trying to do what we do. So, yeah. I'm gonna knock on wood right now so I don't get sick, and that would be bad. And I gotta pay the Chihuahuas. I know my wife might not be alive. They get rowdy. They start walking around like they own the place, going, "Where is dinner?" All right. Big moves last year. Yes, we did move our warehouse and stuff. So it is not like, oh no, our products suck and no one buys them. It's like, oh, you spent a lot of money moving a warehouse to Kentucky. That's gonna take a while to make sense. And so thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you guys next week. I'll probably put out a video this week. We're just waiting for it to get done with editing and that kind of stuff. And I'll let you know how the Chihuahua lights go some point when they arrive. Well, not right when they arrive, but cheese tax. You do got to pay the cheese tax for sure. All right, we'll see you guys around. Thanks so much, and I will try to stop all the ads before they ever hit you guys.